Welcome to another One-Eyed Cat set of elemental builds. Like I said, I'm One-Eyed Cat, and I'm going to try to build a max necrotic elemental build.
Your party is full. Did you think I would not notice?
Yes, I did think you would not notice. Just kidding.
Indeed.
Alright, so I'm going to use Minthara as my base for necrotic. I'm going to try two different builds here because there's two different possibilities I want to test out to see if it works. But on paper, technically warlocks get the most necrotic spells. But with warlocks, sometimes like certain subclass choices will lock you out of certain spells. Technically, Death Domain cleric should also have like quite a few. So actually no, I take that back. I misexplained it. Cleric is the one that has the most necrotic spells, ironically enough, not Warlock. But anyway, so what I'm going to try is I'm going to go over here, and we're going to try ourselves our first Death Domain cleric.
Dost thou require a new as?
This is literally the first time I've ever built a Death Domain cleric, but I've done a lot of research and played around with it. So it should work out pretty well. We'll see what happens. She's all tricked out and like some crazy stuff, but I'm gonna like fix that in a second. It's funny, you can talk to her after you reclass her and like I'd like to talk to you about your oath, and it's like, well, you know, my oath is not changed, but not realizing that she's already a Death Domain cleric now. But anyway, there's already a lot of necrotic options you get right off top of the build, and on top of that, I would also point out that arrows of Ilmater, the ones that prevent creatures from healing, do necrotic damage. So for this build, the problem sort of becomes whether you want strength-based weapons or finesse-based weapons. In this case, because there are plenty of finesse-based weapons for this build, and there are arrows of Ilmater, I'm going to actually recommend that we go with dexterity. So let's try that out. It's like deity, you only get Lolth. Well, I mean, you know, that is her deity, but it's actually really, I like that. I like the fact that the game is like, you know what, her character, she's only going to worship this thing, so whatever. Alright, so here we go. As you probably already know, wisdom and constitution are important. Now, here's one of the things that I am going to point out. You get 3 feats because you're going to be in Death Domain Cleric. Here's the thing. Technically, you get 3 feats, you only need 2. You can use the 3rd to get yourself Warcaster. Which means that you can actually deal with like just 14 on Constitution, and you'll be pretty much fine. The problem with that is, like, I'd rather hold on to this to see if Elemental Adept, feat can do something. Give me 1 second. I'm pretty sure it does not have a necrotic option. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it does not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take Warcaster for my first feat. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cram a whole bunch into Dexterity. Yep, there we go. Now, at this point, I don't need Charisma. There are no Charisma saves in this game. There might be some Intelligence saves in this game, but it doesn't really matter. I'd actually rather... I know this is sort of weird. Let me try something. I'd rather throw the rest of the points into strength, because that increases your carrying capacity and helps with other things. But whatever, there's probably not a perfect way to do it, so it doesn't matter. Insight is more of a dialogue-based thing, so there's really no point. Since it's a dialogue skill, our Minthara is not the main character, so it doesn't matter what she does. Too bad she doesn't have an origin story and like a little side quest at the beginning. That would be freaking amazing. But anyway, so here we go. We have Staff of Cherished Necromancy, which is already an excellent option. Armor of the Spore Keeper is technically a light armor, but we're going to go look at that in a second. Gloves of Power. We're going to look at that and some other things real quick. She has the Absolutes mark, so like I'm going to give her the Absolute stuff, but it really doesn't matter. We can also look at other stuff. Because here, I'm going to go over and switch over to that screen. I got my notes on a separate screen. When it comes to Necrotic, we get the most Necrotic stuff in Act 2. There's Mercolite Scourge, Bone Saw, Artificial Leech. There's like almost 3 or 4 different weapons that are in the House of Healing, which is an ironic name, in Act 2. In fact, I probably have the Mercolite Scourge in here somewhere. Yeah, I could use that, but I'm going to use the Staff of Cherished Necromancy. I'm going to hold on to that for a second. But there's a lot of good options in here. You also can get like the Ritual Dagger of Shar, which I did not bother with. There's a Sword of Life Stealing. Where is the Sword of Life Stealing? I thought I had it. Do I not have the Sword of Life Stealing? Nope, I don't. That's fine. But there's like a lot of cool options in there. There's not really a lot of like good armors, but there is one that I want to look for real quick. Do I have Protective Plate? No, I don't. Must have sold the Protective Plate one, but Protective Plate you get it in Act 2. I'm pretty sure that can actually be pretty good too. So in theory, we could be using plate armor, but I forgot to keep something, so now we're using light armor, but it doesn't matter. We can get some other good stuff. Anyway, let's go into the build and see what spells we can get. There are tons of cool options in here. It's not my job as a cleric to necessarily create or destroy water, but I might help out with that, just if I'm in the party. I'm not the healer. Inflict wounds is great. I might create or destroy water. Again, I'm picking only the Necrotic because that's what the point of this build is. Some of the options I'm going to choose may not be the best, but I don't care. She gets Fairy Fire, so I don't have to worry about that. Alright. Necromancy spells, there's really not many at this point. If she's a cleric, I'm probably going to want her to do at least enhance ability, so whatever. I'm not going to make her a healing cleric though, because she's a death cleric. But death clerics still get the ability to heal, so whatever. Now notice I chose Toll the Dead. At the beginning I chose Toll the Dead, and I was going to choose Bone Chill. I would strongly recommend, if you do this build, go back. Well, don't go back necessarily, but like when you first pick the first level and for cantrips, please choose Bone Chill and not Toll the Dead. That's a mistake I made. You'll really want Bone Chill because it allows you to prevent a creature from healing for a turn. So it's actually really worth it, at least in my opinion. So at this point, she's more of a combat person, but I'm still going to give her Calm Emotions because that's nice to have. Alright, so what I was saying before, if she was an Elemental Adept, we would do that, but we can't. She seems to like to smack people with dexterity weapons, so we gave her more of that. So I'm going to take Warcaster to give myself advantage on concentration spells. I really hope I got that spell. Anyway, so there's not really any necrotic spells. There's not a Glyph of Warning that is necrotic. So now Spirit Guardians, though, you can do necrotic with. Strongly recommend the Spirit Guardians. I need more spells than just that. Vampiric Touch? I should be getting Vampiric Touch, but I guess I don't. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, I knew that the cleric was sort of split up among various disciplines. That's why it's good to try out the build. So I'll try out the build here, and then I'll try out probably a wizard-based one after that. Bestow Curse. It's not Bestow Curse. Which one is the one? There's one that actually frickin' gives necrotic damage if they do something. There was something. Alright, well, I'm gonna probably bestow a curse anyway. Alright. There's really not any necromancy spells at this point, so I'm gonna probably take that. I don't like to, though. I want to keep her more combat-oriented, because she seems to be more of a combat-oriented person, but whatever. Maybe banish. Alright. And we don't really... I'm going to be honest and say that I don't like Guardian of Faith, because, like, I usually have the problem of I'll cast it somewhere, and people will just, like, basically run away from it and around it, and just turn around. Like, basically it becomes useless after a while. But anyway, we're going to bump up our wisdom score. That's important. Let's see here. There's another one. Oh, by the way, this is an awesome spell. There's another one in here that I'm pretty sure I've seen before. Maybe I'll do that. I guess 4 keeper armor on, so sort of. See, I can't select the what is it called? Bone Chill cantrip. So I may have made a mistake that would require me to go back, but I'm not sure. Because, I mean, there's Toll the Dead, but Toll the Dead is less effective. I'd rather have Bone Chill. Let's see, what else can I do? I'm actually sort of limited, I'm sort of surprised. Maybe Dispel Evil and Good. I need some necromancy spells. Oh, nice. Harm. Definitely gonna do harm. Because I'm supposed to stick to necrotic spells. There's another one in here somewhere that I'm pretty sure. Is it Planar Ally? It's not Planar Ally. No, it's not. Yeah, it's sort of alright. Probably do better. That's why we do this. That's why we build things. We try it out to see if it actually works. And then I'm going to take my Wisdom Ability Improvement. Now let's see what we came up with. I got to choose between Toll the Dead and Chill Touch. So it's one of those things where I can't really do much of anything about it. But there's some spells I got that I didn't have to select. I'm going to go over what those are. Cloud Kill is technically poison, but whatever. Alright, so how many necromancy spells do I have? I thought for sure like either Curse or Hex will cause necromancy damage, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. 5, 6. Okay, some of these are automatic spells from my cleric domain. 7. Yeah, 7. And of course I have a divine intervention, but why would I want to do that? At least right now. 7. That's divine interventions. Well, sorry, 7 spells. That's actually pretty good. It's not as high as I thought it would be. That's why it's important for us to test the builds out, right? I thought I would get 9. I got 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 7. I got 7. That's not bad. Where's she at? Where are you at? Oh, there you are. So I got 7. The other possibility that I wanted to test out, technically Warlock, I think technically Warlock might do it, but I'm not so sure. It's 8. And technically you could do Death Domain Cleric with Wizard 11. I wonder what that would do, honestly. Yeah, I wonder what that would do. So I think I'll do that. Let's do with Necromancy Wizard.
Fate, dost thou require that?
So let's see. We're still going to do Death Domain, but we're just going to change our abilities to... something. Hold on. Yeah. If I'm doing wizard, I'm gonna stay dexterity for now because I can still do warcaster. Well, no, I can't because I'm only gonna have 2 feats. I really wish I could pause recording. I have a question, but let's just say we're gonna do Constitution this way because there might be some concentration spells. If I'm wrong, then you can just switch it to dexterity. We still got that. So now we're gonna do some wizard. Alright, because we already did that. I definitely want Bone Chill. I've told you why. It prevents creatures from healing. Or definitely can. Alright, so now what we're going to choose is mainly necrotic spells. I'm going to take Shield regardless. Chromatic Orb does not have a necromancy version. So we're sort of limited at the outset, but we're going to adapt. I'm just going to pick some random crap to throw in the spell slots so I can make sure the video doesn't run too long. Then we're going to go over here, because we're still leveling up Wizard. Necromancy. You walk through the Valley of the Shadow of Death and make a lot of friends there. Alright. So, Necrotic. I'm pretty sure... Yeah, I know for a fact there's not Necrotic. So I'm going to learn stuff that might be helpful for a wizard. I like saying it silly, like wizard, even though it's a wizard. Whatever. I need some necrotic spells though, y'all. It's starting to bother me a little bit. Because there's just not enough options at the low end of the spectrum. I'm looking for a Bestow Curse, but I don't have it, so I'm going to pick some survival spells to help me not be so squishy. So we got this. Don't care. Bestow Curse. I'm looking for that. Where is it? I'm gonna take frickin'... Alright. So we took Cleric 1, and then we take the rest as Wizard. We're going to have to boost our intelligence every single time to try to get to 20. Alright, Necrotic, Bestow Curse. Yep, that's what I thought. Bestow Curse. And Spirit Guardians, Necrotic. I can't really take them. Vampiric Touch, I can take that. By this time I shouldn't need Arcane Lock anymore. Let's see, Vampiric Touch, Blight. I don't have access to Blight just yet. So let's see, I'm going to take this one and this one because they're going to be helpful. It is something. I'm going to take Blight. Alright, so we took Blight. That's all we're gonna really have for a little while. I don't have Destructive Wave, so let's see. Dimension Door is gonna be helpful. Alright, so then Necrotic. Destructive Wave is more of like a cleric feature. You can get the Dethrone, like, spell, but you have to go on a quest to get that. So technically the next thing we get, this should be Necrotic, should be Circle of Death. So I think that's good for now. I'm gonna bump up that intelligence one more time. And finally, where's our Circle of Death? It's getting close. Alright. I don't think there are any necrotic frickin' elementals, so at this point I'm going to do Hold Monster and Telekinesis. Cantrips. Alright, we've already got that one, so we don't have to take it again. Let's see here. Any second now we should be getting Circle of Death, which is a pretty good spell. We should be getting it. Again, part of this is for me to explore the options. I researched them, but I'm gonna like try the builds live, just see what we come up with. I'm just gonna like pick some things to stick in there. Yep, Circle of Death. There we go. Definitely want that. There's so many good options in here, though. Irresistible Dance, I think, is what I'm going to do now. I think that's all the Necrotic. Alright, so let's see what we came up with. As a Death Cleric, we got 8, and we wanted 9. That's what I was expecting. So what does this do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me look at that again just to make sure I'm not hallucinating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we expected, I expected to get 8 and I got 6. That still means that Necromancer Wizard is technically the best. There's one other option, and I don't want to necessarily make the video really, really long. I'm going to go ahead and try it, though. Let's see what happens.
Fate dost thou require, as thou desires.
Blah, blah, blah. So let's go over here. What we're going to do is we're going to go Warlock the whole way. Bone Chill and Toll the Dead. Perfect, I get both. Now, I don't know which one of these gets the most necrotic. I'm going to assume that the Fiend does. Arms of Hadar. So, let's see. Arms of Hadar, I don't like it. I feel like it's a little bit on the weak side, but whatever. So if we're a warlock, I'm gonna assume that there's gonna be some concentration spells I want to concentrate on, like Hunger of Hadar. I'm probably like not correct, but whatever. And then I'm not gonna do Intimidation. I would say Nature. So we're going to take some Warlock stuff and see what happens. The only thing that I don't like about this, though, is you only get light armor. Not necessarily a bad thing, because we do have Armor of the Spore Keeper, which is light armor. But I'm a little bit worried about the squishiness of this character, so we'll see what happens. technically we could take, if we wanted to, we could have taken level 1 Paladin instead, but I'm not really a fan of that. All it does is bump up the armor. I mean, level 1 Cleric just to get armor would actually be probably a better idea, but whatever. Alright, so I'm going to do that. Eldritch Invocations, we're going to have to sort through these and look to find the ones that's got the Necrotic. Well, Agonizing and Repelling Blast are probably going to be the ones we take now. I don't see anything that's overtly necrotic. I'm going to want to take Misty Step so that I can avoid getting my butt beat, because I need to make sure that I can survive. Chain, Blade, Tome. I'm going to take Tome just because I like having more spells, but whatever. We'll see. So Necrotic, there's none there. I'm still taking Eldritch Blast because, like I've said before in other videos, I don't consider Force to be its own element, even though it is technically. So I'm basically looking at Necrotic, but Force is considered something anyone can use. I want to say Hex. Yeah, it was Hex. That's the one. That gives you Necrotic damage. Alright, now I'm going to be a straight up Warlock. Elemental Adept doesn't matter. What I can do, I really want to. What would have? I'm looking real quickly at my sheet. Does anything have any overt capabilities that would help them? No, not really. So I guess we're just gonna do charisma improvements. Okay, Hunger of Hadar is actually acid, but whatever. Vampiric Touch is definitely one of them. Charismatic. I want to say Bestow Curse does do Necrotic, but I can't recall. Yeah, it's still worth it though. So Necrotic, you'd think Stinking Cloud would do Necrotic, but it actually doesn't. Let's see, what are we, level 6? We're gonna get access to Blight soon. Let's see, so I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna do Counter Spell, because I don't have haste. Light. Fantastic spell for necrotic damage. Ray of Sickness is technically poison, and Chromatic Orb doesn't do necrotic, so let me see what I can do. That's fine. I'll take more spells over that. Necrotic. I don't see anything else, so I'm going to take Dimension Door. I'm going to do an ability score improvement again. Let's see. There's really not a lot of concentration spells in Necrotic that I can tell. I could be wrong though. You'd think Stinking Cloud would be Necrotic, but it's not. Let me think. Let me think. I can't think of any. I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Minions of Chaos. That would actually be really cool if there were necrotic elemental minions. That would be great. I'm sort of running out of things. Let's see, cantrips. There's still none that are going to give me necrotic damage, so whatever. Because that's the name of the game. I could maybe see fly. Well, banishment. Mystic Arcanum, definitely Circle of Death. Definitely that. I get Circle of Death at the same level that wizards do using that, but hey. Let's see. It's so tempting to take Hunger of Hadar, it's so awesome, but whatever. I'm gonna do maybe Fear Spell. Warlocks don't get like a large number of spells to choose from. They really don't. Maybe Fly. Life Drinker. Oh, definitely. And that right there is basically like a feature in and of itself, so I'm going to have to make sure I count that in the final thing. So at this point, I don't have any feats. Technically, I could do Warcaster, or I could honestly... here's another option. Let me look at the elemental stuff. Is there really an armor for that? There's not really an armor for Necrotic. So taking medium armored would not really help us, and in fact Sporekeeper armor actually does do Necrotic, so we should probably hold on to that. So here's our options. Warcaster, even though we have Charisma 16, or perhaps Dexterity increase, so it's more likely that we hit people with our Arrows of Ilmater. Alright, so let's see what we got here. How many spells do we get? We got one passive feature that adds necrotic damage to our attacks that I can't really... That's not on the screen, so 1, 2. So this is 2. Ooh, nice! I didn't even know this was on here. Oh, I'm definitely doing that. Alright, so I'm going to count that as 1, because that is definitely what that is. So 1, and then the passive feature that was Mysticum Arcanum. That makes this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 of them. So technically, if you wanted to do a straight up Warlock build, and you did that, you get 8 resulting necrotic spells, which basically puts you toe to toe with a Death Cleric. The armor options aren't necessarily the best, but if you're going to have armor that does necrotic damage or is involved in it, then this would actually be a requirement. Now, by the way, you know, there's Infernal Maces that have poison and stuff, and I was going to show them off a little bit, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So basically, Horns of the Berserker, you do necrotic damage. You deal all your spell every time you attack them with necrotic damage, it does an extra necrotic. Then you have the rest of these aren't really like tailored for it, because there's really not a full set for necrotic. It gets close though. And even then, there's some stuff in the House of Healing, like weapons and syringes and shit, that you get that like can help with that. But anyway, for the most part, I mean, there's not a ton of like necrotic dealing stuff in here, but there is some, and so there are possibilities. And yeah, I sold the protective plate when I should not have. Technically, like that thing that you attack down in the frickin' cesspool of the House of Healing in the back, technically that does the armor does deal with necrotic damage in a way, but I'm just not going to really deal with that in this place. So yeah, that's not bad at all. It really isn't. So there's 2 ways to do it. Thank you for watching. I'm basically satisfied with that. I can go Warlock or I can go Death Cleric. So this is One-Eyed Cat signing out.